Hello, welcome back to Snugglewood, young Dreamlynx. My name is Arin. Snuggle down into your coziest quilt and let tonight's calming tale and soothing sounds relieve you of any worries and guide you towards a deep, restful night's sleep under these beautiful stars above. And so our story begins in a place called Dolphin Bay and the sleepy giant tale of ocean's healing Hues. The ocean meandered into the everlasting, beneath the soft light of the setting sun. A huge vista of colour and movement that seemed to flow seamlessly into the horizon. Waves rolled one after another, their crests catching the light in a beautiful interplay of shades, creating a sense of calm that extended for miles. This vast aquatic realm was truly living, a pulse of the earth's heartbeat, cradling secrets within its depths that spoke to the ancient connections between life and water. Deeper beneath the surface, a world teeming with mystery unfolded. Coral gardens swayed in silent motion, each reef a tapestry of vibrant colours and intricate designs. Schools of fish moved harmoniously, their scales catching the dispersed rays filtering down from above. The balance of life here was quiet and timeless, a testament to the enduring cycles that defined the ocean's hidden world. Among the rolling currents and towering underwater cliffs, the presence of something larger, something historic, could be sensed through the seamless flow of the ocean. Further out from the coast, the water deepened into stunning blues and greens, revealing subtle interplay between light and shadow as the ocean floor fell away to unseen depths. This realm was home to creatures unknown to most, where soft lights from the insects dotted the lower expanse like a field of stars. The flow of water on these majestic plains seemed to draw in life and energy, as if the body of the ocean communicated an eternal story to everything it touched. It was within this boundless world that a sleeping giant rested. The giant, a being of ancient origin and crusted form, lay nestled within the calm currents of the Mariana Trench. Its size was incomparable, its presence nearly forgotten by time. Its resting place was wrapped in long tendrils of kelp and surrounded by rocks softened by the brushing flow of the ocean. Marine life adorned its form, blending it effortlessly into nature's design, as if the earth and the water had accepted this being as part of their very existence. The ocean seemed drawn to the great figure, as if each wave carried with it a sense of unity. The steady ebb and flow of currents seemed to hold the giant, their timeless motion framing its story with unspoken wisdom. Migrations passed it by, and the small whispers of life filtered around it, touching every ridge and contour of its resting place. Above, the surface mirrored these hues, blending with the sky as night began to settle over the water. The sound of the waves was constant, bearing witness to the millennia of cycles that had come before. The air smelled fresh and cool, carrying the vaguest hint of salt as the moon began its ascent into the darkening sky. Its light cast a silver sheen on the water, complementing the colours already alive in the ocean below. The sleeping giant seemed to breathe in time with the world around it, an imperceptible motion that went unnoticed by all but the keenest observer. It was not a breath in the sense of lungs and air, but something deeper, something magical. The ocean's movements, with their endless rolling, had a connection to this being, a harmony that resonated throughout everything around it. Life above the water and within its depths remained in tune with its presence. Birds coasted along warmer winds while gliding near the surface of the swaying waves. Whales moved along in expansive migrations, their paths winding through the seas close to where the giant rested. Coral fields bloomed further, nearby the shelves, in vibrant bursts, nourished by energies that seemed eternal. The sea's colours shifted with the rising and falling sunlight through the following days. Radiant blues gave way to deeper purples and further softened tones in endless patterns. Its healing connection reflected physically out from the ocean world. The waves whispered secrets softly to the shore, bringing with them hints of life from the widest, furthest reaches of the ocean. Each crest seemed to ripple with a history, both ancient and continuous. A cycle that had been in motion long before the sleepy giant tucked itself beneath layers of sand and curling strands of seaweed. Here, at the very heart of this world, time stretched and bent, flowing with the currents rather than moving forward in rigid steps. It was a timeless existence, both serene and boundless. Beneath the surface, where sunlight pierced only just, schools of silverfish danced in synchronous glimmers, weaving through swaying forest-like kelp that reached toward the dim glow above. Their movements mirrored the tides, never rushed, always harmonious. Occasionally, a larger shadow would glide gently past, a graceful ray whose wings seemed to caress the water as it searched the sands below. The giant slept deeply, undisturbed by the mild echoes of activity surrounding it, cradled by the movements of its aquatic home. Farther out from the shallows, where the ocean stretched towards horizons veiled in salty mist, the world expanded into vast plains of serene blue. Here, humpback whales arched their massive bodies through the waves, carrying songs that resonated for miles through the water. melding with the natural hum of the ocean and creating an endless harmony that moved in time with the heartbeat of the sea itself. These songs were messages, full of wisdom passed down through countless seasons, and carried a calm assurance that every corner of this domain, no matter how deep or distant, was connected by invisible threads of sound and movement. Above, the endless interplay of sunlight and water created a kaleidoscope of flickering patterns. Streams of light danced like golden ribbons across the seabed, illuminating patches of coral that gleamed in every tone imaginable. The coral seemed almost alive with colour. Tangerine oranges, vibrant fuchsias, and soft, dreamy lavenders blending naturally into one another. Darting through these underwater gardens, tiny fish adorned in neon scales chased one another in playful bursts of energy, giving the impression of shooting stars beneath the waves. The sleepy giant, though buried beneath its shroud of time and tranquility, seemed to be in tune with the vitality surrounding it. Its great mound-like back rose just slightly, covered in mossy textures like the green crests of low-lying hills. Occasionally, a current would push a few grains of sand aside, revealing a surface that moved gloriously, reflecting the colours of the sea with an elegant glow. Some said the giant dreamed, its thoughts forming the currents that spun life into motion around it. Others believed it simply watched through the veil of its slumber, a silent guardian of this pristine and endless realm. Not far from the giant's resting place, an underwater canyon yawned into the deeper layers of the ocean. Its walls steep and adorned with glinting minerals that caught even the slightest light trickling down from above. This huge chasm was home to creatures adapted to exist in almost complete darkness. Luminescent jellyfish wobbled like ghostly lanterns through the black waters, and delicate crabs with translucent shells navigated rocky outcrops with careful precision. Despite the seemingly harsh conditions, life bloomed in surprising ways here, filling the canyon with a quiet magic that somehow felt linked to the giant's presence nearby. Days turned into weeks as the sea maintained its eternal flow. Storms occasionally rolled across the surface, their winds whipping the waves into a frenzy that played out in deep, thunderous crescendos. Yet below the surface, the ocean remained peacefully undisturbed. The coral held firm, fish swam with unbothered grace, and the sleepy giant dreamed on, offering a constant reassurance to this world of motion and colour. When the storms passed, on quieter nights, when the moon's pale light glistened across the sea, radiant algae glowed softly near the shore, painting the edges of the waves with surreal neon sparkles. These luminous drifts seemed to echo the stars above, as if the heavens and the ocean had found a way to reflect one another. The sea, with all its immeasurable depth and expanse, became an infinite mirror of dreams and possibilities. That same glow seemed to gather around the giant, flowing gently in tune with the waves, a heartbeat of light. The sleepy giant remained an enduring symbol within this vast underwater canvas. It was more than a resting relic. It embodied the very essence of the ocean's healing hues. Its presence inspired a harmony that resonated across currents, from the shallowest beaches kissed by the tide to the darkest reaches of unexplored trenches. The world above, caught in its rush and chaos, seldom noticed the giant's influence. But those who paused to gaze upon the ocean's tranquil expanse could feel it. An inexplicable calm would wash over them, as if the ocean whispered its ancient truths for just a moment. Generations passed, and the giant remained. Time moved differently between the waves, unmeasured by Dreamlynx reckoning. The ocean shifted and changed, storms rose and fell. Life thrived and adapted, yet the timeless dance of colour, sound, and knowing continued unbroken. The sleepy giant was cradled by the very water that coursed through every corner of this world. A peaceful giant at peace within the eternal rhythm of the sea. The waters around the sleepy giant seemed to reflect with an almost magical light, a spectrum of sunlight drifting through the dancing waves. Creatures of all kinds, both great and small, gathered in the giant's shadow as though drawn by a mysterious calling. Schools of fish shone like liquid silver, moving as one, while mellow jellyfish wobbled along, their translucent bodies glowing in the dim blue. Above, sea turtles glided slowly by, moving as though they had all the time in the world. The giant, though still, was not alone. Its presence was an anchor, a silent witness to the untold stories surrounding it. These waters had a delicate balance, a harmony that pushed through all the currents nearby. Each creature contributed to the melody of life. Clicks and whistles of dolphins, the morning songs of whales, and the rhythmic percussion of waves meeting the distant coral reefs. The ocean itself was truly alive, an epic breathing entity that surrounded all who lived within it. Generations passed, as they always did in the giant's timeless existence. The coral that hung on its massive shoulders expanded in colourful ridges, the spiny homes for countless creatures. Rarely did it stir, apart from the occasional ripple caused by the subtlest movement of the ocean floor. And yet, in stillness, the giant carried an invisible hum of being, a quiet energy that rippled outwards and joined the movements of the sea. Creatures who swam near seemed to sense it, a wonderful calmness radiating from its grand presence. Once, not so long ago, by the measure of stars, but a lifetime for the creatures of the reef, a great storm shook the ocean's surface. Furious clouds churned the skies, and mighty waves roared in protest. The waters that usually caressed the giant turned murky and dark, full of suspended sand and debris. Currents tore through the delicate coral and swept some of the smaller inhabitants away, leaving the reef bruised and windswept. The storm seemed to stretch for an eternity, unrelenting in its ferocity. But then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the chaos began to subside. The waves softened, the sky brightened, and the stillness returned. That was the way of the ocean, a fickle heart forever changing, from fury to tender caress. The sun broke through the clouds, casting bright beams into the aquamarine depths below, as if extending an apology to the world beneath. Though some parts of the reef lay bare or broken, the ocean held one truth: life always found a way. The giant remained as it always had, though the storm had stripped its shoulders of their brightest coral crowns. Tiny fish darted around its edges, seeking shelter within the crevices that had formed over eons. The ocean's movement faltered for only a moment, but gradually found its melody once more. It was a cycle, a quiet and unassuming dance of renewal. Seasons passed, one blending into another, and even such concepts became irrelevant beneath the surface. The reef thrived again, perhaps even more vibrantly than before. Seeds and spores carried by distant currents found fertile spaces among the cracks, and once barren areas soon flourished in breathtaking brilliance. Sea anemones waved gently in the current. Playful clownfish shuffling in and out like living cascades of orange and white. Crabs scuttled along the ocean floor, careful not to disturb tiny snails moving slowly in search of food. For the ocean's inhabitants, the giant was a constant. To them, it was no longer a mystery, but a part of their world, as indispensable as the corals and seaweed. Some of the bolder creatures would venture closer, brushing against its textured skin as if seeking infinite wisdom. Wise old turtles rested in its shadow on long migrations, enjoying the calm waters that seemed to linger there. Even the passing of whales would pause, their deep, melancholy songs harmonizing with the glorious vibrations of the giant. One remarkable day, a vibrant pod of dolphins gathered near. They leaped and dove playfully, their sleek bodies catching rays of sunlight that turned them into arcs of living silver. Their clicks and whistles filled the water with joy as they spun around one another, playful yet purposeful. They lingered longer than most, sharing their energy with the giant. Some say they came searching for its wisdom, while others believed they simply reveled in the serenity it offered. It wasn't just life underwater that reacted to this place. The surface above was a world of its own, where birds swooped low to touch their feathers to the water, and waves kissed the skies during their rise and fall. On rare evenings, phosphorescent plankton would bloom, lighting up the waves with a ghostly glow, as if the stars themselves had descended into the sea. The years stretched on. Time wore on as quietly as the near silent currents brushing against the giant's skin. The ocean was a keeper of stories, and perhaps none was as enduring as the one of the sleepy giant. With every ripple and tide, its presence was interwoven into the very meaning of life. Generation after generation, life carried on in vibrant beauty all around it. And the giant was content, surrounded by the waves, forever dreaming in the hands of the ocean's healing hues. The mornings brought the softest golden light, spreading warmth across the waves. It bathed the giant in an amiable glow, whispering promises of beginnings anew. Seagrass swayed lazily around its colossal form, the fronds tickling its ancient skin like curious fingers exploring a story too old for words. Shoals of speckled fish nipped by in perfect sequence, leaving silvery trails as if they were painting secret messages only the sea could understand. Although the giant slumbered, its presence was felt by all who shared the waters. Whales sang haunting songs of memory, echoing across the deep. The melodies carried tales of the ocean's depth, where currents twisted like secret corridors between time and space. The turtles, with their lonely and wise wanderings, often paused near the giant, as if to bask in its quiet steadfastness. The tiny creatures, the unnoticed wanderers of this watery realm, nestled beneath its shadow as though its vastness offered them refuge from the endless expanse. Then came midday, when the sun blazed its highest, and the sea transformed into a stunning canvas of aquamarine brilliance. The waves sparkled like liquid diamonds, and the giant's silhouette rippled beneath the surface, blending seamlessly with the ocean around it. It looked as though the sea and the giant were one being, inseparable and timeless. Children of the abyss, the great schools of manta rays glided overhead like dancers in an unending ballet, their black and white forms adding a starkness to the sunlight-drenched waters. Life continued on, each passing creature a fleeting thread in a ceaseless tapestry. Not far beyond the giant's resting place, coral gardens thrived. These underwater cities buzzed with life, their residents chattering in movements more eloquent than any words. Their vibrant existence was a nod to the ancient giant, whose body provided quiet shelter in unseen ways. Tiny crabs scuttled between forest-like tendrils of the reefs, and more clownfish popped in and out of the safe folds of anemones that swayed gently in the water breeze. Sea cucumbers combed the sands in their slow, purposeful manner, cleaning and purifying, a quiet celebration of their bond to the great, dreaming sentinel of the deep. If the surface world grew chaotic and changing winds or rumbling storms, the ocean remained undeterred in its unfaltering patterns. The giant's dreams carried no burdens of worry, its rest uninterrupted, even when the waves rose in fierce crescendos overhead. The storms, though dramatic on the surface, sent subtle energy spiraling down to the ocean floor, caressing the giant with a reminder that the balance between fury and calm was a part of the ocean's essence. The tempest would pass and serenity would return, just as it always did. By dusk, the light began its retreat, painting the water in tints of lavender, pink and amber. Flocks of seabirds skimmed the waves, their cries echoing as if in farewell to the sun. When darkness finally claimed the sky, the ocean changed once again, now a canvas of moonlit silver. Stars glinted and danced on the water's surface, as if conspiring with the tides to create a dreamscape meant solely for the giant. Colourful plankton often lit up the abyss, momentarily outlining its massive form with a beautiful glow. A reminder of its presence even to those creatures of the night. The giant, as still as stone, as silent as time itself, remained at peace under the blanket of stars. It never stirred or budged, forever held by the rhythm of the waves and the warmth of the ocean's heart. And somehow this immovable figure carried an endless sense of movement within it. The stories of countless waters danced in its dreaming slumber, echoing the tale of the ocean itself, a forever bottomless keeper of life and stories, of hope and healing. And so, the sleepy giant dreamed on, its legacy written not in fleeting moments nor spoken words, but in the whispers of currents, the songs of whales, and the glimmering trails of life that played around it. It was the guardian of peace in a realm that needed no clock to measure time, a steadfast sanctuary suspended in the healing hues of the ocean, endlessly dreaming, endlessly belonging.